I think a lot of people just lose sight of how they can do this at still an early age. I mean, you're 55. That's still young.
Oh, yeah.
You still got a lot to do, and it allowed you to make this jump.
Yeah.
In middle age, just from selling your biggest asset.
It did. I had a small business and a lawn care landscaping business, and it really, I came to the realization I was going to have to work the rest of my life. I was going to have to work to 75. I didn't make great investments, and it's like the customary. I'll do that tomorrow. I'll do that tomorrow. I'll do that next year. I'll invest. But it became a reality that my biggest investment was going to be our house.
Quick disclaimer: these discussions are intended for education and informative purposes. They are not to be used as legal advice. Welcome to the 256. I'm JD, host of the 256 Investor Podcast. This is for both the seasoned investor building a portfolio of rental properties that wants to sharpen their skills, and for the potential investor that needs to answer some questions and gain strategies to invest with confidence. We'll discuss all things investing, legal, tax planning, acquisitions, insurance, and of course, we'll discuss real-life experiences with 256 investors. Whether you live in the 256 or invest from afar, this is for you. Stephen, thanks for joining us on the 256 Investor Podcast. You get the award for traveling the greatest distance to be here. You came, 3,500 miles from Baja?
Roughly. Baja, California, yeah, roughly 3,600 miles.
Yeah, so you're visiting from Mexico. You came all the way just to do this show, right?
You
might have some other things to do. I don't know, maybe see a grandbaby or something. But we're glad to have you here. This is Stephen Stockbridge. He's a Huntsville native, and you're living in Mexico now. And what do you do there?
Missionaries. Me and my wife are missionaries in San Quintin. They call it the San Quintin Valley of Baja California. It's probably 5 hours from San Diego. Basically, we support, especially during the summertime, a lot of the churches that come down do mission work. We, this past summer, have supported from spring break, we had one trip, and then from the end of May all the way till current time, which is about 12 weeks. We've had groups every week, week in and week out, from the U.S. coming down to support the Mexican Churches of Christ that are in the Baja area. And this is something we do in support of Baja Missions. They've been down there for 20 plus years, and it's kind of through our church at Mayfair that we've been able to do this.
Is this building schools, orphanages, or what all does it entail?
It really just depends on the group. There's some groups that do a little bit of everything. They do construction, they do evangelism, they do education, they do VBSs, benevolence and visiting in homes, medical clinics. It really just depends on what the church, the visiting church, is really wanting to do and what they're trying to accomplish. Medical is a big thing. It's a big need. They're not super poor, but they have needs. They have needs, and medical tends to be, just like here in the U.S., it's expensive for them when you put dollars to dollars.
Probably a lack of resources.
The government does do a lot of stuff. Recently, they've been stepping up their game of trying to do some of the stuff that the churches do. It's almost like 30 years ago, 40 years ago in the past here in the U.S., where the churches were doing a lot of stuff for the community, and it kind of got transitioned over to the government, and government was trying to taking over that kind of aspect. But we're trying to get back to that aspect of the churches supplying and doing. Here, probably in the near future, we have a trailer that we're going to convert over and be a medical trailer. My wife's a dental hygienist, Amanda, and she'll go out and kind of back in the day when we were growing up, when they would come to the schools and they do the pink pill and she'd teach how to wash it all off. She's going to do some of that education. But along with that, we want to educate on some of the domestic violence. That's kind of a big thing. It's become a big thing for us and for me to kind of get involved with. It's kind of a touchy subject, domestic violence. But the male machismo, so to speak, in Mexico it's big. It's huge. I think some of the paperwork and some of the pamphlets I was reading, when we get our residency, it could be seven out of eight out of 10 kids under the age of 15 are abused, either physically, sexually, and that's just a huge problem. We are always told that when you go to Mexico, there's a specific bus line that's for women and children only, and we knew it, and I've seen it, and I never really you never put that all into context of how important it is. But it's only in the major cities, so Tijuana, Ensenada, down in Cabo, we're kind of in that no man's land in between, and they don't have that kind of support. They have the police, and they have what they call a Squadron Violeta, which is like a domestic violence, but there's really no direct help on that yet. And so, but on that bus line, all the women and children and boys under the age of 12 get to ride free, just to protect, no men allowed.
Yeah, wow.
And it's kind of unusual.
So you've been there, what, just over 2 years, around 2 years now, full time?
This coming February, or I would say this coming next May, 2026, will be a continual 3 years. We actually went February of 2022, and we did a 6 weeks tour, I guess, to see if we liked it and was going to do it. And we loved it. We already knew that. We'd already rented our apartment for a year. We came back and after the 6 weeks and made the process of selling our house. And
so over 3 years, this has been your life. You and Amanda, your wife. But you made multiple trips to Baja before you stepped out full time. This has been something in your life with the last 10, 15 years?
Well, it's not that much. When you go in the mission field, it either touches you or it doesn't. It's either something that you try to do, and it touches a lot of people, but then some people it just really hits hard. She went in 2018, her first time. I went in 2019. The only reason I went was when she came back, I saw the kind of look on her face. You've been in the mission field,
yep.
you see that, and you're like, well, I need to do this. And so we went 2019, and on the way back over on the bus, we were discussing how could we do this to quote unquote retire. I just turned 55, so that's in the U.S. 55 retiring. I mean, I'm no millionaire by any means, but we were discussing it, and then of course COVID came and kind of put that in a rapid. You kind of realize, COVID puts a different perspective on a lot of things in life. And we changed and shifted gears, and with the help of church and Mayfair and people, we were able to make that happen.
Yeah, so you and I have been talking about like you making that transition to full-time missionary work for a long time, probably going back 5 years, probably, during COVID. And so after a lot of discussions, we decided to put your house on the market and go ahead and make this move. And this is a real estate investing podcast, so I want to cover this part of it, and hang with me here. I'm going to reference Robert Kiyosaki's famous book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which I know you're a huge fan of. Right?
Oh, yeah.
It is a life-changing book for anybody who's ever read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. But he discusses in the book the difference between, we're kind of led to believe that our house is our greatest asset, right? Your home is your greatest asset. It's your biggest investment. And he turns upside down and says, not exactly, because you're paying all this money out and you don't get a return. If you have rental properties, those are assets because you have cash flow coming in.
Oh, yeah.
And I believed that for the longest time. That changed my life. That way of thinking, I'm going to have this money coming in on my houses, not just paying money out. But what he left out is we all have to have a place to live. We're all going to spend money in some way. It could some low and some it's high for others, but we're all going to spend for our home. And in some ways, it can turn out to be an incredible investment. And you bought your house, 10, 12 years ago here in Huntsville, and
something like that.
Was it somewhere around 2010, 09, something like that?
I think so. I believe so. 2010, we sold. I guess at 2022,
2023.
23.
I know it's hard to keep up with the years now.
Yeah, they all
everything in the last 5 years. You sold the house in 2023. I believe it was in May. Mm-hmm. And I would say if you didn't double your money in that home, you came really close to it.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It was just the right time. And you and I discussed for the longest time, knowing, when we met, that you were a realtor, accounting realtor, and had gone into that transition. So we connected on that, and just always talking about the area that we moved to and what we had done. And we didn't put a lot of investment in our house, but, that was going to be our retirement eventually. I would always hit you up. Hey, have you seen the prices around? Have you seen this? Have you seen that?
Well, we did this at the perfect time, and I don't think it's just by accident or coincidence that we put your home on the market kind of right at the tail end of this really big boom, especially here in Huntsville. We were kind of the tail end of it, and we put your house on the market right at the right time and got 6 or 7 really good competitive offers. And it was one of those things we got to decide from a pool of really great offers. Yeah. And you ended up doing really well. Yeah. And it did essentially allow you to, I won't say retire because you're still working. I know you get up and you work hard every day, so we're not going to call it retirement, but it allowed you to be able to pay off some debts, to give you some cash so that you can go start your mission work in Baja. And I just want to make the point that in your case, I mean, this was such a big investment.
Oh, yeah.
And I think a lot of people just lose sight of how they can do this at still an early age. I mean, you're 55. That's still young.
Oh, yeah.
You still got a lot to do. And it allowed you to make this jump, in middle age, just from selling your biggest asset.
It did. I had a small business and a lawn care landscaping business. And it really, I came to the realization I was going to have to work the rest of my life. I was going to have to work to 75. I didn't make great investments. And, it's like the customary, I'll do that tomorrow. I'll do that tomorrow. I'll do that next year. I'll invest. But it became a reality that my biggest investment was going to be our house. We have been able to recoup some by selling the business and a little bit of that, but it's the house. It allowed us to be able to do different things. And, working with you, especially because we had left and the house was still on the market, and we were fielding offers. We were in Spanish class, and I'm getting texts from you, and it's kind of like, okay, what are we going to do here? What are we going to do here? So to make that transition, I mean, you're able to make that transition for us just a whole lot easier, and it's just comfortable. So it was a good process.
Yeah, it worked out really well. I mean, we go back a long way. Like you said, you blue collar guy, ran a landscaping company. Your wife's a dental hygienist. And it would have been really easy for you to just rent the rest of your life.
Oh, yeah.
I think at a certain point you had to make that decision that we're going to be homeowners. I know that wasn't easy, and I think it was very important that you did that. And I think a lot of people don't understand how big of investment, a home can be over the next 13, 14 years. It can really be a game changer. It was for you.
Yeah, it is. When you invest in a home, of course, with all that, it comes with all the upkeep and the roof. I think we had things about our roof, and we just different things that you're having to do. And if you're not on top of that all the time,
it's got a brand new one now.
It's got a brand new one. Yeah, probably some few other things now. But our home at the time, when we bought it we actually rented it as a rent to own, and the homeowner before I think he worked here locally. He was actually from the Netherlands or Holland or something. Him and his family lived here. But this was an investment for him at the time, and he actually just moved out to Madison. So he didn't move far. He was just doing the transition. He's going to rent. And it worked out for us at the time. We rented it at first, and we loved the house. And of course, 10 years ago, never saw ever selling the house. But, mission work does that when you leave the country.
Yeah. Well, it still took some work, you and your wife's part, to buy the house and facilitate that deal and make it happen when you didn't have to. You could have easily rented that house from the man for the rest of your time here, I'm sure. But it really paid off in the end for you to do that. You got to raise your two daughters there. Were you born in Huntsville?
No, I actually, Dad was in the military. So I was actually born in Seoul, South Korea.
Okay.
And we traveled, of course, being a military brat, we traveled all around the world. Lived in Germany. My sister was born in Germany. We lived there actually 7, 8 years. But Huntsville was always home because he was military air defense, and so with the Rocket City, we always came back here. In fact, I think in the mid 70s, Mom and Dad was debating retirement or getting out of the military. And it's so funny, the house that I remember when I was in high school, they showed us after, hey, that's the house we were going to buy. It was on Governor's Drive, and I was like, whoa, wow, that's kind of the place. I can only imagine what the house costs now, what it would resell for. But it was, eye-opening, and to be in a city like Huntsville to watch it. Basically, from my early 7th, 8th grade, I went to West Lawn for a year. That's where we support some of the church there, and to go back now and see how Huntsville has grown immensely. Homeownership is huge, especially in a city like this. It is growing rapidly.
I bet it's eye-opening every time you come back for a visit.
Oh, yeah. It's a big change every time.
Well, so you've been in Baja for a few years now. You learned Spanish right away. You didn't know a lick of Spanish going there, right?
No. So in the agriculture business or landscaping, lawn care, you work with a bunch of Mexicans, a bunch of Hispanics, and you learn all their lingo in the bad sense, none of the good things that you need to learn. And of course, just being a blue-collar guy, that was always the fun and joking manner with them. But I didn't know lick. Other than the customary hello and goodbye and a few cuss words.
Important stuff. Well, Well, I know the house sale helped a lot facilitate your arrangements, and I know you're still getting support from private donors and stuff like that. So is everything going okay today? Kind of where I know you'll be going back to Baja very soon. You're just here for a visit in Alabama. What are things going to be like when you get back and you just continue your work there?
Yeah, so when we get back, basically we have started a program where we do English classes, second language, and it's kind of unusual. I never thought that they would want to learn English, especially 5 hours south. And I thought, well, you guys are just going to leave and go to go to the U.S. Is that what it's about? But it's really a part of university studies, and they need to have a certain level of English because they work with American companies. And so we were able to start an English program down there, and has gone really well. We're actually on our third level with our original class. We'll be starting that, and then this year we'll probably have a Zoom class, which will be opening it up because a lot of the churches that we work with have expressed that they want to do an English class, and I can't go 3 hours, 2 hours, be there every day of the week, and so we decided Zoom classes where it's at, and so we're going to try to do that and see how that works out. The other big thing we got going on is we don't have any mission trips really coming in. We have a big fall conference in November. But coming up, when we get back, we'll have our trailer that took all our stuff down, 16-foot enclosed trailer. We're going to convert it up into a medical trailer. So Baja Missions does a mobile clinic that they go around, and they will do a day or 2 day clinic, offer medical, doctor, nurses, pharmacy, dental. And sometimes they'll have eyeglasses, and then your customary haircutting, a barbershop, and little things like that. And then in conjunction with that, we can also do a little bit of VBS, in conjunction with that, a little bit of education, and maybe a little domestic violence. So that kind of wraps it up. But we kind of want to set out on our own with, I think I hit on a little bit, with Amanda being a dental hygienist going back to the school. She has some ins now, some of the schools. And this is a way that she can go teach some of the dental hygiene, She's been in the dental field all her life, but I only learned through her. But you do see all the issues you have with your body through your teeth and through your mouth. And so that becomes very important to us, her. And so, with the language that we've been able to pick up, we took Spanish our first 5 weeks, where we had class Monday through Friday from 9 to 3, learned every day. And then living there and immersed in the culture, you kind of pick it up, and it's gotten better. We understand, and she can actually communicate when she's in the dental chair. She's a little bit more skittish when she's just talking, out and around. But, I'm a guy, blue collar guy. I just talk to anybody. Of course, here we are. We're just talking in a podcast.
Well, last question. I know you guys had quite a bit of stuff in that house in South Huntsville. You weren't short on personal property possessions. You had to split with most of that, if not almost all of it. Do you miss all your stuff? What was it like parting and having very little with you?
It's hard to say. We when we moved from our house previous to the house where we were in that you sold for us, we had thought we had done a big purge, and we'd only been in that house for 10 years maybe, and ironically we didn't do a big purge, and so we had to do it all over again. And basically I drew on the floor of the garage the size of the trailer with painter's tape, and we just put everything in there that we just started what was more nearest and dearest to our heart, and then what was going to go to the kids, and what was what we were going to give away, what we were going to sell. And we ended up selling a good little bit. We ended up giving away a good little bit, and then what was left went in that little spot, and we hauled across country. I don't know if we miss anything. I'm sure Amanda would tell you she misses some stuff. And, kind of with me, out of sight, out of mind. It's, oh yeah, I used to have one of those.
Yeah. So life moves on with or without all your possessions.
They're just possessions. They're material things. You come to realize that. I think at the time she had a super nice car. She had a 2014 Mustang, and she just loved it. At that time, during COVID, tired of working out of my truck, I bought a Mazda Miata, and we had the playthings, we had the things, but what was going to be the next plaything for us to do? So we stepped back from all that, and it just, yeah, I used to own a Miata. Yeah, I used to own a Mustang. Yeah, I used to have this. Yeah, I used to that. When you tell that to the people down there, it's like, oh wow, you did. Well, yeah, but that's the American lifestyle. And we were just, the rat race got to be too much, and I didn't want to work the rest of my life in the way I was doing, and who knows? I probably wouldn't have lived through it.
Yeah.
This heat out there is pretty stifling these days.
Yeah, I think you have a lot better weather these days.
Yeah. We've gotten acclimated now. I know for that for sure because of the fact that when I say it's cold and it's only 60 degrees and they're looking at when the groups come down, you're crazy. This is beautiful. You know, they're coming from Alabama and Tennessee. It's like, no, it's not. It's cold. Like, give me my hoodie, you know, some pants on. It's so funny because I think the whole entire 3 years, I may have worn shorts 10 times. And you know, it's just, I just don't do it. And I wear them continually in the States. I never wore pants, always shorts. And it's just, you know, life-changing all around.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad it's worked out for you and Amanda. I know y'all are really happy there. It was a worthy trade, what you did. So I'm glad to hear it's going well. And I know you're really busy. You have a short time here. So thanks for coming in and stopping and by and chatting with us for a few minutes. As we mentioned in the podcast, Stephen does have a number of private donors. If you would like to be added to that list and help contribute to his missionary work in Baja, please contact me and I will make sure the funds get to the account for Stephen. My email is jd@256realty.net. Appreciate everybody listening. For Stephen Stockbridge, appreciate AVO Multimedia. They're recording this morning. I'm JD. My time's up. I thank you for yours. This podcast is proudly sponsored by 256 Realty, investors helping investors. Visit us at 256realty.net. Big thanks to our production team at AVO Multimedia Services for producing, editing, and providing the music that brings this podcast to life. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe or follow the podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, or whatever platform you choose. We'd love it if you'd leave a comment, review, and rating. It really helps us grow and continues to bring you valuable content. And of course, don't keep all this knowledge to yourself. Share this episode with a friend who's ready to level up their investment game. To catch more episodes and video content, visit our YouTube channel at 256 Investor.